The conversation continues. Hi, this is Ralph Lewis. Join me this Thursday for another great interview.
So we recognize that we need to get to the root cause of the problem in the first place. I'm trying to get this message out and change the narrative, regardless if you're generational Caymanian, new Caymanian. This campaign is really about education. Are we taking a no-nonsense approach to this? Yes. This is not only about Grand Cayman. We have taken on this challenge of a severe change in attitude and approach across the country. They'll see the movement happening and be encouraged by it, and we're all in this together.
Remember to like and share Caymanian Times Facebook and YouTube pages for your reminder to another great interview this Thursday at 7:30 a.m. Hello and welcome to Cayman Conversations, now streaming on Caymanian Times Facebook and YouTube channels. Minister Kenneth Bryan re-established the Beautification Task Force under the leadership of the chairperson, Mrs. Teresa Pitcairn, and MP Heather Bodden. The remit of this committee focused on reported instances of littering and derelict vehicles, making policy changes to the laws that govern littering and public health, and educating the public to take responsibility for themselves, their properties, and their businesses. This week, we spoke with the minister to get an update on the progress of the campaign. Good morning, Minister Bryan, and welcome back to Cayman Conversations. It's been a while, and a lot has been happening. You know, I've been in Cayman 40 years, over 40 years, and I've seen the challenges with littering. I'm so happy that you're here to talk about the anti-littering campaign that you're spearheading.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Louis. I'm happy to be here. It's always a pleasure to be on with you. You know, I enjoy the conversations with Cayman Times. This message that we're going to be talking about today is rather important to our nationality as a people and how we see our country. It's unfortunately a problem that is kind of gotten out of hand. It's that broken window syndrome. And we here in the ministry and the PAC administration sees this as something that needs to be handled and addressed and arrested right away. But we recognize this is not just a government issue. This is a issue for us all, residents, visitors, government, community leaders, agencies, and we all have to do this together. So we decided to put some money behind it from a marketing and education campaign, understanding what we can do as members and take our own responsibility for this, as well as to be somewhat of, the overseers. I don't like to use the word policers, but basically holding others accountable as well, so we can change the attitude and the narrative of where we're going. So that's what this is all about. Obviously, the state of our country, by visually, has a major effect on how our economy is, particularly when it comes to tourism. But I don't want this to be mainly focused on tourism. Tourism is one of the beneficiaries of a clean island, because we sell the product of our visitation and our environment. But this is more than just tourism. This is about who we are as a people. Regardless if you're generational Caymanian, new Caymanian, or if you were just visiting here to work for a period of time, we're all in this together. And I know a lot of people aspire to come to the Cayman Islands, and many Caymanians are happy to be born in the Cayman Islands. And we got to remember what those reasons are. Many of those reasons are due to safety, strong economy, our moral compass on matters that are important to people. And cleanliness is right there in the midst of all that as well, why we're also happy to be here. But unfortunately, it's going in the wrong direction. And if we try to remind all those stakeholders I just mentioned how important something as keeping the country clean is to the effects on their quality of life, I think everybody will start to do their own part, whether it's their own responsibility on how they handle their own waste, or keeping an eye on each other to make sure to remind them, say, listen, we're all in this together, that we can change the narrative and the next generation to make sure that they don't get caught into some habitual behavior that we've seen been popping up recently. So this is an attempt, an intention to change that approach moving forward. And I think everybody that has been involved so far all agree that this is the right approach and it's timely.
Yes. And I do remember, when I came here, the place was always looking so clean. There were no derelict vehicles on the roads, and it was something that visitors and all the residents commented on. But like we've noticed, things have deteriorated, and it's so good to see it coming back to the forefront. You do have a beautification task force. Can you tell me something about that task force?
Well, in the government's effort to really, this beautification task force was actually a beautification committee. Um, and when myself, as minister, and the steward really behind this drive, um, our parliamentary secretary, Ms. Heather Bodden, developed this, we sat down and we analyzed that this is more than a beautification committee, because normally before this administration, it was all about going out and cleaning up. And what we found was that it doesn't change the behavior. You can go today and get the community involved and the agencies involved, and you're doing an amazing job and you clean up an area, and within 2 weeks, it's back to where it was just prior. And so we recognize that we need to get to the root cause of the problem in the first place, which is to stop people. And I hate to say it, but it's not robots that are doing it. It's we as human beings that are doing it.
Yes.
So where is this coming from? Why do people feel the need to do it? Is it lack of efficiencies within our structures, availability for bins? Is it just people who are just being irresponsible and non-caring about the community and the environment? What are the causes? So we are going through the necessary steps of examining all areas, whether we have to, give more support to DEH, the Lands Commission, or do we have to assist the community with more bins? Is it lack of education and understanding of what the laws say that you can and cannot do? Is it just behaviors that are being imported where it's normal place to litter in other jurisdictions? I can proudly say that it's never been that approach growing up as a child. So I don't think the root cause of this new behavior that we're seeing over the last few decades have been, developed from the Cayman culture. And by all means, I don't want to be divisive in any way, but I don't think this approach that we're seeing developed came root from our forefathers. We were proudly known to be a people that are very loving, calming. We respect each other, we respect our communities, and we kept our place clean. And that's why we became so successful as an island, for these many factors. Of course, our financial structures and legislation developed by our forefathers have created us to be a financial destination for financial services. And then obviously after that, recognizing how amazingly beautiful we are, tourism became our second pillar. But amongst all of those elements of growth and development were other key factors that those past trailblazers saw, was that it was a perfect place and a perfect environment to develop these industries. Meaning, it was safe, it was politically stable, it was clean, the people were nice, all of these factors. So you knew that people wanted to come here, and then with growth and success comes some of the other outside influences, and it's for us to remind those that are born here, who become Caymanian, who want to live here, who come to work here, that remember why Cayman was an attractive jurisdiction in the first place.
Yes.
Because if we all forget that, then the thing that you want to come here for can simply go away. It doesn't happen overnight, but 5, 10 years from now, you go, holy moly, this is a totally different place than when I came. And this can be this formula, or this approach, or this assessment that I'm talking about can also be similar to crime. It can be similar to a lack of community. All, all of these different areas of concerns. But today we're talking about our cleanliness,
Yes.
our environment, and littering. And we think that this one should be an easy solution, because I believe in my heart that everybody wants to keep the country clean, and it's a number of steps that we have to do to make sure that we encourage it. We try to put necessary legislation in place for people to be deterred from doing it, encourage people to be clean, make sure put systems in place whereby it makes it easier for them, educate the public as to how something as simple as dropping a bag of food after lunch when you're sitting down, by the beachside having your lunch break, how that one little bag can affect your bottom line of how much taxes you pay, or the cost of living or the quality of life, because you may see it as an isolated incident. Well, I'm not doing any harm to anybody. Yeah, the place looks dirty, but that affects the country as a whole, because when one, like they say, one cocoa full basket, well, one
Yes.
litter destroy the economy. And the second pillar that we have, which is tourism, and the value that people invest in our economy to be seen. And if we don't have a strong economy, then it affects you by way of the government doesn't have the revenues to take care of all the things that they do, the roads, the lights, the school for kids, the healthcare cost, all the things that you can think of that the government services deliver, and that we have such a great economy. Without the revenue, with the damage to the economy, which means less revenue, which means more taxes on the people, which becomes there's a ripple effect. So
Yes.
everybody needs to know that this is not like how they would say, a self-inflicted, or let me rephrase that, a um, a victimless crime. It isn't a
Yes.
victimless crime. You're actually creating a crime on yourself. You just
Yes.
don't see it immediately. It comes delayed. So we believe that with a series of deterrents, by reviewing our legislation and the various pieces of legislation that we need to look at, so that people can understand that if you do this, it's not something that is accepted, and that you will be penalized for it. So we're currently looking at the littering law, the public health law, the Public Lands Act, public lands regulations, the traffic law, towns and community law, the penal code, even the immigration law, because um, you know we will obviously address persons who are resident in Cayman, but we also recognize that half of our population are on work permit. So we see it as a way to deter that if you are found in by breaking the rules in respect to this very important topic to this administration, that we want to change the laws within immigration, that we can revoke your work permit and no longer be a part of our community. Because if you're not willing to obey the laws that is important to this nation to keep it the way it is, maybe you're not the appropriate person to be here. So every area that we can as a deterrent, we're trying to change. Every way that we can help to facilitate it being easier to keep the community clean, we're also looking at that. So assisting the Minister of Health with DEH, who's been an amazing partner. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much to Mr. Sims and his team, and the Public Lands Commission and their team, who have been essential in where we've gone so far. I'm trying to get this message out and change the narrative, but they are working hard to try to give more resources to help and clean it up. But the focus is that yes, we may give more resources to help clean up, but the issue is it shouldn't have to be so much to be cleaned up in the first place. We all have our
Yes.
own responsibility in this. And again, some people may say, well, give the government or give the department more people to clean up and all, clean up and go pick up the cars and clean up the beaches. We could do that. We could quadruple DEH, but it will cost money. And you think about DEH's budget, you can easily get into $100 million. And where does the government get that money from other than taxing you? And we don't want to do that. We think that everybody can play their role, that we don't have to do this, right? So I was just thinking before we were preparing for the show that, very commonplace. Every Sunday or every Saturday, I'll get a text or a picture from somebody who've been to the beach, and they see where, you know, beachgoers were there, and then they left all their garbage in the garbage bins. And then you see these 3 or 4 or 5 bins, and the garbage piles up over the top of it.
Yes.
And I know they say, well, why is it not clean? And the truth is, we don't have enough workers to go every half an hour and pick up the garbage, right? So once the bins get filled, they're filled until the next shift to come to empty those bins. And if we were to add more shifts, which would be the normal thing that somebody would say to do, is add more of that, that's more cost. And I think that rather than adding more cost, which would tax you, the people, just help us out. How about if you go to the beach and you put your garbage, if the bin is full, put it in the back of your car in the trunk and drop it off by the dump or by a dumpster the next time you have the opportunity, or take it home, because yes, people may think the government can be responsible for this, and there could be truth to that, but government has to pay for these services. We have to pay the employees. We have to pay for the fuel and the trucks and all of these things that go along with doing that. And I don't think that's necessary, because we're all responsible in this. So again, this campaign is really about education and the balance. Are we taking a no nonsense approach to this? Yes, because it's a shared responsibility from us all, and it's just as important as people with the environment and protecting our environment, or how we see things on crime. We have to take a hard fist approach to this. You would have probably heard in my announcements in Parliament that the government intends to increase the current penalty of $500 to $10,000, so people can take this seriously, because it doesn't seem like $500 is much of a deterrent. And I'm happy to see that the Public Prosecution's Office has recently had a conviction, which was in August of this year. The person was only fined $200, but it's the first case ever of somebody being penalized for the crime of littering. And I understand now there's another case before the court, and I'm very happy to see that there's more action being taken. And particularly in this day and age where media and telephones and video and accessibility is so efficient, I think it should be easy for us to all police ourselves. I mean, the biggest thing in any prosecution for persons who are doing this is to catch them in the act, and then provide that to the prosecution's office, evidence, so they can be given the appropriate penalties under the law. So we ask the public, just like any crime, if you saw a crime, video it and document, just take a little note what day it was, what time it was. And we have opportunities where people can report this stuff. You don't have to be involved in the police. If you see something and you believe that it's against the law or not good for your community, you can always call DEH at 949-6696. That's 949-6696. Or if you're a person who likes to do it by email, you caught somebody on a particular day videoing it, dumping it illegally somewhere, or what have you, you can always email them at DEH customer service at gov.ky. Again, that's DEH customer service at gov.ky. Or if you like to see our post of people cleaning up, or you want to report something, you can always go to our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/MOT, that's Ministry of Tourism and Ports, Cayman. So it's MOTP Cayman. We are always online. And another anonymous way to do it is Crime Stoppers, which is CaymanCrimeStoppers.com. So there's many different ways. If you see something wrong, there's many avenues for you to report it.
Okay.
But the most important thing is to compile the evidence, and don't be afraid to to be. It's not like a severe crime. So you, like, if I saw somebody littering, I'd be happy to go to the police and give them a statement and say I saw John Blow on Sunday at road. I mean, we have to take response. We have to be our brothers keepers in that respect.
Yes. Mr. I'm pleased to see that actually that actions taken and there have been a charge for littering, because one of the things that we were concerned was, does the laws have enough teeth? Is it going to be worthwhile to arrest someone and charge them a small amount? But as I say, as I recommended in Cabinet in Parliament, that these fines are going to be substantial going forward. And that's a good indication that you are serious, or the government is serious, and the country is serious about doing something about it. Also, there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I will say it takes
Correct.
a village to keep our country clean. And
Correct.
as you mentioned earlier, yes, if we go to the beach and we have garbage, I think we should take it home rather than pile it up on an already filled bin, because it actually looks bad. It falls over the side. Animals destroy it, and it makes it worse. So, like you're right. So, I believe that the whole country, anyone who lives here, should take some responsibility in cleaning up their own garbage, and where the bins are not available, find other ways of disposing with it.
Yeah. And this is the hope that we have, is that people will understand that. I think we're all very busy in our day-to-day lives, and sometimes we don't realize our own little habits are sometimes the causes of the problems. I, we have to look at ourselves. And most people, there's not a lot to reflect on because they're doing the right thing. Most people do the right thing. Unfortunately, it is a smaller percentage of society that does these things that cause us to do that, and it affects us all. And I hope that those persons are recognizing that the government is mindful and understand that there are people out there doing this wrong, and we're going to take it serious, and we will encourage the legal system to take action and correct it, because it's not right. It's not fair for everyone else. We don't want this to be a situation of a police state. But when people don't take accountability for their actions and the effect on others, we have to do that. But I don't think we have to go there. I think that the pressure from your peers alone is sufficient. That's what I remember as a generational Caymanian growing up. It was the pressure and the peer of your neighbors' um, expectations of you. So you had 10 people living on a road, and everybody used to keep their yard clean. You'd hate to be the one out of 10 who people are whispering about, oh my God, look at John Doe's yard, how nasty it is, and he don't keep it clean. That peer pressure of of you know doing the right thing is what I think um, is needed. We're all in this together. Now, some people that don't work with. Some people, their pride, they don't care, and that's a freedom and right of democracy, is not to care. But there's also legislation to stop you from doing particular things. Now, you have your own right to private property and private life, but your life cannot affect others. So, and we're talking about those who don't care. And again,
Right.
majority of the country does keep things clean. I'm very proud to be Cayman, and I don't want to make it sound too severe, but if we don't get a grip on it now, it can get out of hand really fast, really, really fast, because it becomes habitual. And when it becomes habitual, then it becomes the norm. Then the next generation don't know anything different. Like um, even me didn't understand in my generation how significant it was in my mom and my grandparents' generation. I recall stories where they used to say that literally when they cleaned the yard, they would rake the sand in patterns very neatly because it was expected to be that clean. Now that's extreme. I don't mow my lawn in straight lines. I just cut the thing and just hopefully it's clean, right? But it was
Yes.
that meticulous, and that pressure was that severe in our community to do
Yes.
the right thing, to stay clean, to stay neat. That pressure is diminishing, and I think it needs to be brought back up because that pressure is one of the tools that keeps us all responsible for our own behavior. The laws is another tool for those who don't want to be responsible with their behavior to enforce them to do the right thing. Um, and I think I want to get to a place where we're all morally wanting to do this, and that those who visit the country, whether you are a visiting worker, a visiting guest, that you know that the culture and behavior of our country is one that is we keep this clean. That's why we're doing a major promotion campaign,
Yes.
and you've seen it across the island on electric billboards, signage. There's signage going to be going up at the airport. That we want everybody who comes to the Cayman Islands understand our approach to cleanliness is a priority. Sadly, some days I can't say that most people will feel that based on what they see. I would say that, 25, 30 years ago, I remember the stories that people go, oh my God, the Cayman Islands is so clean. What a wonderful people. And all the streets are nice. You don't hear that story as often as you used to. And we need to get back there because, again, going back to our economy and how it works, if you lose that edge, you can damage your economy. If you damage your economy, we don't have the revenue. If the government doesn't have the revenue, they'll increase taxes so they can afford the necessary services to keep a society together. So it does affect you directly. It just, most people can't see how it comes around in a circle, goes around and comes back and hits you. So
Okay.
information, education, enforcement, and all these factors is what we're trying to
Yes.
do. But we do believe in our community because we're not that far gone that we all can play our part in this, particularly the next generation, the kids. The kids are what we call superpowers. They're the ones who change the future. If they care, parents care. If we educate them, they'll change the habits of those who are present and past. So we're going to be doing a lot more education to the kids on the priorities and how just throwing a bubble gum wrapper outside of your car,
Yes.
how bad
Yes.
that can be. And I am glad to know that the Park administration is one about sustainability. So there's an environmental component here, which the next generation is fully focused on. And I'm really proud of the next generation coming. So they can tie the protection of the environment and infuse it with keeping the country clean. So,
Okay.
if you didn't dump that straw in the first place, maybe that straw wouldn't end up in the nostril of a turtle.
Right.
So you're
Just before
welcome.
we get ready, just before we get ready to wrap up, just want to have that's a few comments on the campaign. Do you know, before we speak about our results here at this media platform, do you know how well the campaign is working? Is it reaching the desired part of the population? I haven't gotten any feedback on that. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud to say that there has been people who have joined the fight, um, and doing their own part. We've had people who have, even one business called Clean Cayman have shared a video of the litter that they found in West Bay Beach, and their action to clean it up. And they shared a video of before and after pictures, and they posted up and they tag Ministry of Tourism on there and the DEA's Department of Environmental Health. And this is what we want to see. We want people to get a movement going, show what you did, and said, even if you want to do not only still pictures, but a testimony, said, this is what I did today because I'm doing my part to keep the country clean. And you create a movement where people want to be seen to be doing the positive thing. We've had, well-known athlete and real estate agent, Miss Carrie
mhm.
Kanga. who also shared with us that a few minutes of attention to keep and help remove litter. She removed dozens of plastic tie straps that were left on the ground after a musical concert. She posted that. We had a woman by the name of Heredis Lores who shared that she was, along with her friends, removing several bags of trash from Bull Miller Beach in Northside. So you can see that it's getting in different places of the country. And we want to say thank you so much to those persons who are doing that. And we encourage more persons to do it and tag us on Facebook, because obviously social platforms are the new way forward to get messages out and
Yes.
people like and follow. And I want those who, even maybe they don't like the publicity of things and they're not going to do it themselves with a video or a picture. But if you see us promoting things, just share it, like it, to show the movement. People will think there is something, that they'll see the movement happening and be encouraged by it, and positive they will breed results. So we ask them all to be a part of this and keep on doing their part. I must say, Ralph, that I have to take this opportunity to say that Parliamentary Secretary Ms. Heather Bodden, who was practically my junior minister, has been doing an amazing job with this, as well as the chairman, Ms. Teresa Lewis Pitcairn, and Ms. Liani Tibbetts, who is just a superstar in her own right, who has been helping us with these videos, educating people about keeping the country clean. I it's stewards like that, the pushers and the movers, to get this momentum going, but we can't do it by ourselves. We need more partners to be a part of this. And I want to take this opportunity before we wrap up as well, that to thank all the other agencies who have been involved, because by all means, government departments, yes, they get paid to do things and paid to carry out the services asked. But one thing I love and I'm happy I've been able to see as a minister is the many civil servants who go beyond the call of duty, because they themselves recognize it affects them. It's not just their job, it's their home, and they go further and beyond. And I do believe that's why I think there's going to be a positive end to this, and you'll see more and more changes as the years go on and the attitude change. So I want to take this opportunity to highlight the Public Lands Commission, the National Roads Authority, the Port Authority, Cayman Islands Airports Authority, District Administration, the Sister Islands of Public Works, because this is not only about Grand Cayman. Now, most of the population is over here, but you have workers in Little Cayman and Cayman Brac who are joining this fight, not joining it, but has been a part of it from the very start. And they're doing their movements over there. And I hope to have a trip over there soon to speak to the community and get them, thank them so much for being a part of this. You got DVDL, Department of Commerce and Investment, the Department of Public Safety and Communications, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, because we cannot be a deterrent without them. They have to be well aware of the laws in and out and be willing to prosecute. This is a no nonsense thing. In order for us to force people, it's either people do it willingly or they're forced to do it. We hope that they're more willing to, but the force is necessary. So the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, obviously my staff here at the Ministry of Tourism and Ports, who've been awesome. They've been committed to this, even when we were working so hard post-COVID to get our tourism numbers where they need to be. But we have taken on this challenge of a severe change in attitude and approach across the country. And they put in, so many times I had to tell my team, go home. Go home. I don't want your family being mad at me because they think I'm working you overtime, but they stay back and they put the extra work in. I want to take this opportunity to thank Miss Marjorie Mona Lisa Tatum, who puts the work in. Department of Environmental Health, all of these people putting the effort into to sustain this movement. We are doing a campaign. It ends at the end of this month. It started in August, but it can't be just a movement for a period of time. When the money that we were spending on marketing and all that subsides, we got to keep on doing it. They say that, and the reason why we did 3 months, there's science behind the psychology of human behavior. They say if you change an approach for 3 months, you'd have actually changed your culture. And that's why we did a 3-month campaign. But we know that some people wouldn't have jumped on the campaign until maybe a month and a half in. So we're asking everybody to keep this momentum going. I will continue to advocate for it. Parliamentary Secretary Heather Bodden, Teresa Lewis Pitcairn, and the whole team and everybody will continue to promote it. But we need you to also be a part of that, so it keeps on going. It's like we're pushing a ball, like a big stone ball,
Yes.
and the momentum is coming, but we need it to continue. So we ask everybody to please be a part of this. And things that you can do to help us with that is, obviously, first thing and foremost, clean up after yourself. If everybody did that on their own, we wouldn't have a problem at all. So clean up after yourself. Volunteer as much as you possibly can when you see cleanups, whether it's a beach cleanup, whether it's an inland cleanup, anything that to do with cleanup. Give back your service. It's a duty to be in a free and beautiful economy and society. Some people are in communist countries where dictators rule their lives and they're worried about being shot and killed. There's a cost to this amazing freedom and economy that we have. It's your duty to give back. So whenever these type of events come up, sit with your family, sit with your children and say, we're going to give back 30 hours of community service per year and split it up across these events, because many cleanups happen on a very often basis. Obviously, change your own behavior. Don't throw things out. I know it's easy to just say, okay, get this off your head. And some people do it and don't even realize, but be a little bit more responsible. I'm going to tell you one thing about me, right? And this is probably something not a lot of people know unless they've driven with me. My car is filthy. And I'll tell you why it's filthy. Because I refuse to throw anything out. So whenever, it's the other, have a Pepsi, I drink a Pepsi, the can is there. If I had a patty from the gas station, the bag is there. And it takes me 2 or 3 days to say, okay, oh my God, my car is so bad. I need to clean it out. So I'll stop at
Yes.
home, get one of the bags, and I'll take out all the garbage and put it away. Now, my car may not be as clean as everybody else's, but I know that nothing came out of my vehicle into my community, and I did the responsible thing. You see many cars and clean, whether it's the people who cut the bushes, the landscapers,
Yes.
they're taking their stuff to the dump. They need to put proper covers over the top of it so the debris doesn't blow out, or anybody carrying any waste, to make sure it doesn't blow out on our streets, because the streets is where most of it is visual, right? And in communities where you walk and you see things, we don't want that. We want people to be more attentive to their responsibilities. If you see something, say something. That's very important. This is what you can do. Take a picture of it, write down a note and report it. Like I said, if you go to the DEH website or you call them up and you can say, I have a report to make, and they'll show you how to do it. And do it together. Do it with your community. Do it with your church leaders. Do it with your nonprofit organization, Rotary, Lions, any kind of grouping that you're with. Do it together as an initiative. And it's not just about cleaning up. It's about education, because cleaning up is only solving the problem for a short period. Education will resolve it for the long period. So I encourage that. I want to ask businesses out there, if you have workers who are not from our homeland, remind them that yes, you are a guest to the country. We have a culture and a behavior here, one of keeping things clean. Mandate that they remember that. Remember our way, because if they change that, they will change the ability for your business to even make money. So there should be an obligation in business to remind guest workers here that hopefully the culture that they have is one that is normally to be clean. But unfortunately, sometimes we do have workers who are from jurisdictions where it's not the norm to be clean, because some countries don't have strong economic and political systems where they even have a garbage regime or a waste facility. The normal practice is just store it wherever you can find it. And then sometimes I can't really blame them because it's not something they were born into. It's not first nature for them to do that. But bearing in mind, when you come to a place, there's a level of respect that is due to the location that you go to. For instance, if you were to go to Dubai or a Muslim country, you know that there's certain rules that you have to abide by because it's their way of life. And people respect it. Just you got to remind them, say, listen, it's just a small reminder. You want to be a part of this family. You live under this house with these rules. And it's simple. Not trying to be dictatorial or anything like that, but be a part of us. You
Yeah,
have to be with us. So a lot to digest there, a lot of psychological elements to think about. But this is
yes.
what it's about. It's human behavior, right?
Yes, and what you've been saying, for the last 40 minutes is so important. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and we have to be responsible for our own waste. At the end of the day, if you come to my house, you'll see a clean property, and I expect that you should respect that and adopt what I'm in my house. If I go to a if I was an untidy person and you come in there, you're gonna feel real bad to tell me, Ralph, the place is dirty. But
Yes.
it's my responsibility to make sure that the environment in which I live is clean and tidy. And I think that
Yeah.
is important to individuals to manage their lifestyles and the environment, and of course their country and their home where they live. And I thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us about your anti-littering campaign and all the hard work that your team has been doing. We encourage our viewers to make notes or comments or let us know what you've been doing on our feeds to our broadcast so we can just share them with you and maybe you can have some response. But let's talk about the achievements that have been done. And yes, and you gave our viewers the numbers and the emails that they can contact in case they saw something. Mr. Minister, thank you very much. And any final words before we say goodbye?
Just want to say thank you again so much. And remember, it's not my campaign, it's our campaign, including yours, Ralph. Again, I want to double down on what you said about sharing this video. Sharing the information and the message is a part of the education campaign. So if you've watched this video, please, I beg you to share it. If you appreciate the message that's in it, I want you to like it. That is a part of helping us with this new approach and this drive to change the behavior in respect to littering and cleanliness in our country. Again, I want to remind the public the note those emails because you might not stop the video to watch this. The number for DEH is 949-6696, or you can email them at DEH customer service at gov.ky. You can always go to their website, which is www.gov.ky/DEH, or you can always follow us at the Ministry of Tourism and Ports, Cayman Islands, on Facebook. You can post anything that you see there. And now I've even had, unfortunately, people sending me reports of dumping, and I appreciate that. But I don't monitor my Facebook, so I will want you to send it to the appropriate persons who will collect the information and start the application of a report, whether that be the police, DH, and so forth, because you have to start a case if you actually have evidence of people doing something wrong. Or you can always just remind the person if you see them, come on, that's not the right thing to do. You know better. You know, we're brothers keepers and sisters keepers in that respect. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I want to say thanks to all of those who've been a part of this. It's because of you we're going to be successful with this. And to all the Cayman Times watchers and listeners, God bless you and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you.
We thank Minister Bryan and listeners for joining us today and invite you to add your comments and questions on our social media feeds. Remember to like our Facebook and YouTube pages for your invitation to our next conversation, and also pick up your free Cayman Times newspaper on Wednesdays and Fridays. Cayman Conversations is a production of the Cayman Times newspaper. Until next time, have a great weekend and be Cayman kind.